I, Dr. Henry Jekyll, M.D., Fellow of the Royal Society, am about to record for posterity, and in the interests of science, the day-by-day details of the bold experiments which I am currently undertaking. I have long been absorbed with the duality of man, the good and the evil, housed in a single body, with myself as good an example as any. If the twin sides of my nature could be separated, then the unjust could go its own way without disgracing its more upright twin, and I could be left to do the good works to which I have dedicated my life. And I believe that I am on the brink of decocting an amalgam based on opium derivatives and the alkaloid from South American mezcal, made soluble in ether, which, when mixed in the right proportions, will both prove my thesis and bring peace of mind to myself and to all mankind.
Oh, my goodness me, is that the time?
Oh, goodness.
Henry, it's almost the witching hour. I need a steady hand tomorrow.
Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. Well, no long speeches, that's for sure.
Yeah.
As you all know, we're gathered here this evening to celebrate the inauguration of the Coggeshall Trust, named, as I'm sure you all know, after your late husband, Mrs. Coggeshall, who was an indefatigable fighter for social reform in the House of Commons.
Here.
So I think it's only fitting that our president should bring this evening's proceedings to a close.
Yeah.
Mrs. Coggeshall.
Dear friends, when Jack was killed in South Africa, I realized at once that the only fitting memorial to him should be the formation of this trust to continue his fight for social reform. And although he would have been delighted to see its founder members gathered here this evening, and to thank you all for your most generous contributions and support, I know he would have wanted us to force the authorities to admit that not more than 10 minutes away from this comfortable room, there live families who share their rotting houses with rats, typhoid, and cholera. And now we must thank Mr. Utterson, who's to help us with all legal matters.
At your service, Mrs. Coggeshall.
And the help of that eminent surgeon, Mr. Lanyon, to diagnose the disease and cut through any red tape. And dear Dr. Jekyll, not only for allowing us to meet in his house, but also for his dedication to the cause of pulling down the slums and building houses fit for Englishmen to live in.
Yeah.
Sometimes think Mrs. Coggeshall could do it all by herself.
Oh, if I could, I would. So, thank you, one and all. So there we are. Oh, and Hasty, The subcommittee for penal reform is meeting next Monday. I've arranged for the governor of Newgate to show us over the prison. Now, you won't forget, will you?
Absolutely not.
Oh, good.
Making a move, Mr. Paul.
Gwen. Hi, Paul.
Jack would have been very proud of you tonight, Anne.
Dear Henry.
Good evening, sir. I'm a dolly mop. Only just started.
Now look, sir, I know where I can find a real fresh Judy. A country doll, none of your faked virgins.
Well, if it isn't old gloomy Gus, how are you, my square-rigged friend?
Good evening, Mrs. Winterton.
You didn't look in last week, Gus, was you poorly? Or on the randy at some netherskin, eh?
I was extremely busy, Angela.
Oh, he was extremely busy. You looking for Fifi and Diane, are you? Well, they're upstairs waiting for you, Duck. All on their top, the little angels. Champagne, Gus?
No, I'll wait until I come down, thank you, Mrs. Winterton.
Well, then you go on up and get your due, Skitch.
Gave us a mess last week, didn't you? Coming proper, darling.
Do you want a daffy or gin? I hope you're feeling good-natured, Charlie.
Well, now, darling, who's been a naughty little boy, then?
Why is it that I feel such an abysmal sense of shame? Is it that I've set myself too high a standard of conduct? Or did my father set it for me with bedtime warnings of hellfire? Yet, each side of my duality is in deadly earnest. I am as much myself when I'm plunged into the depths of shame as I am when I'm alleviating pain or administering to the sick.
I'm sorry about that.
About what exactly?
He is a reprieved murderer.
Oh, dear God, a mercy, I should say.
But as he says, where is he?
Free man, I presume.
Good heavens, no, Mr. Lanyon. Broadmoor for life. Now, Mrs. Coggeshall, I would like to show you the needlepoint that some of our prisoners are occupying their spare time with.
Good chap.
All right. But basically a good man, you see. Only the evil in him could be isolated.
Oh, no, Hasty. What do you think?
I think Henry's taking advantage of the occasion to thrust his scientific balderdash down our throats.
My dear Hasty, we all know that you're a very brilliant surgeon. But your speciality is the area between your knife and your patient's flesh, not in extending the bounds of scientific knowledge.
He was the same at university. Do you remember, Oliver? He always had a bee in his bonnet hoping it would sting everybody else.
Yes, but do you not see the tremendous release that could be achieved if the good and the evil could be separated?
How do you propose to achieve that, eh? Surely we can all recognize the difference between good and evil, eh?
Well, not Henry. He refuses to believe that man is a hodgepodge of both. And woman, too. With all due respect to Mrs. Coggeshall.
I fail to see why you are so flippant about the enormous amount of research I've put into this over the years.
Oh, come, Henry, don't be so pompous.
Oh, it's pompous, is it, Hasty?
Yes, you are pompous.
I know, eh? Hasty, Henry. Come on now, easy, eh? Easy.
Well, when my research is completed, Hasty, I promise you that you will be the first to pass judgment. Hasty's skepticism works on me like a red rag to a bull. C10, H9, OC, H3, brackets 2, OH, brackets NCH, brackets 3, plus the final solution from my chemist. Bufotenin, 2 grains. Mescal, 1 grain. Now my conviction that man is not truly one, but truly two, is to be put to the test yet again.
Top for a cup of tea, sir.
Well, put the basket down, girl. Put it down. Hey, you're shaking.
Yes, sir.
Well, why?
I'm frightened, sir.
Well, do I frighten you? Do I?
No, sir.
Well, what frightens you then?
I don't know, sir.
How old are you?
14, sir.
14, eh? And what do you do? What's your speciality?
Pardon, sir.
Well, what's your speciality? What do you do?
I'm a flower seller, sir.
Ah, no. No, not a flower seller, surely.
Truly, sir.
You're a common harlot, aren't you?
No, sir.
Then why do you bring strange men back here?
'Cause I need the money, sir.
Not enough in selling mistletoe, eh?
No. And I've been ill.
You think I'm a fool, don't you? To be taken in by a story like that?
It's true, sir. I don't do it often. Only when I need the money.
What's your name?
Mary, sir.
Well, Mary, now you take off all your clothes, and I'll tell you what I'm going to do to you. As I believe you all know, I serve on a committee concerned with social welfare and housing reform, presided over by Mrs. Coggeshall. Connected with these activities is a certain Mr. Edward Hyde. Oh, I'm so sorry, cook. Please sit down.
Thank you, sir. My feet.
Now, Mr. Hyde is to have the run of the house, including the laboratory, to which you will have a key. Is that understood?
Yes, Dr. Jekyll. Quite understood.
He will also have the use of the spare room, should he need it. I should, however, point out that Mr. Hyde is a man of a somewhat strange personage, and I would therefore advise you to... Are you listening to me, Janet?
Yes, Dr. Jekyll.
I would not like to think that you were not listening to me. Well, as I was saying, I would advise you to, well, just keep out of his way as much as possible. All right, thank you very much. That'll be all. Is it not a little early to be drinking claret, Oliver?
A straight answer, no.
I had no idea that you were a connoisseur.
We all have our hobbies. Yours is scientific experiment. Hastie's is bumbling about the universe like a great
It's hardly
horn.
a hobby. It has been my life's work.
Yes, of course, Henry. I beg your pardon. I would not offend your susceptibilities for all the world. Not on this day, eh? This day of all days. The acids in this were long ago resolved. The imperial dye will have softened with time, and the colour has grown richer as it does with stained glass windows. And now the glow of hot autumn afternoons on hillside vineyards is ready to be set free.
Aye. A touch of the poet, I see.
Oh. And now then, Henry, your new will. Proceed.
In the event of my decease, apart from the normal bequests to my servants, all of my possessions are to pass into the hands of my good friend Edward Hyde.
A moment, dear Henry. A last will and testament should assure one that the testator is of sound mind.
Do you doubt it?
Frankly, and with all due respect, yes.
And your reasons?
I've known you for 30 years, and I've never heard mention of an Edward Hyde.
I said he was a good friend, Oliver, not an old friend.
Yeah, but to leave the bulk of your estate, and you're by no means a poor man, can you not tell me something about this gentleman?
Nothing, except that he is a good friend and he has the run of my house should he need it.
A run of your house? Oh, no, very well. I stand here as your lawyer, not for me to reason why.
Good.
At the same time, how shall I put it, Henry? I've been hoping that perhaps this friendship with Anne Coggeshall would develop into a more lasting relationship.
Well, supposing it does.
And if the two of you should wed, to leave everything to a comparative stranger?
There is a further clause, Oliver, but I fear that you'll approve of it even less.
Indeed.
In the event that I should disappear.
Disappear? Would that be into thin air, Henry? Or do you envisage some other form of prestidigitation?
I am making a simple bequest, Oliver, that in the event that I should disappear, or there is an unexplained absence exceeding 3 calendar months, then the said Edward Hyde... Are you getting this down, Oliver?
No, Henry, I'm not getting it down.
Well, I have never seen so sensible a man become so agitated over so simple a matter.
Now, Henry, you know me. You make a clean breast of it, whatever it is. And I dare say I can help you out of it.
Yes, but that is because you do not understand my position.
Because you'll not tell me what it is.
Please, Oliver, I promise you that I can be rid of Edward Hyde whenever I choose.
Very well. I shall incline to Cain's heresy. I'll let my brother go to the devil in his own way, and you can proceed.
Thank you. His address is 15 West Dean Street, and I beg you not to broach the subject again. Oliver, I beg you.
Down here, I think. Okay. That's it. Down here. Yeah. Morning, girls.
Morning, Mother. How you doing? All right?
Be careful of that table, damn you. It cost a small fortune.
Begging your pardon, Miss Hyde. The tailor's boy has just brought these out.
That's good. Thank you. Give them to me.
He says t'others will be along tomorrow, sir.
Thank you. Now get out and go downstairs and stay in your own quarters.
Yes, sir. Thank you kindly, sir.
Thank you.
I must apologise for bringing you here under false pretences. It is not for the purpose of a committee meeting. I'm using your consulting rooms, Hasty, to ask you and Mrs. Coggeshall a question. Who is Mr. Hyde?
Hyde? Well, I don't think I know the name.
Why should we?
According to Henry Jekyll, he's a friend and protégé of his. Yet we have never set eyes on him, so far as we know.
Well, I don't see much of Henry socially anymore. Last time, Mrs. Coggeshall, he nearly snapped my head off.
Yes, I have noticed what would you call it, a certain preoccupation in his manner lately.
In my opinion, he'd give himself a nervous breakdown. He'd end up non-compos mentis.
You think it's madness? I begin to fear... I begin to fear... how shall I put it? That it's, some disgrace or the ghost of some old sin.
Well, there speaks the voice of John Calvin.
It could be overwork. Apart from his practice, all those experiments, and then the work for our committee. If I thought it would do any good, I'd...
Yes, Mrs. Coggeshall?
I could go and pay him a visit. Try and persuade him to take things a little more easily.
Oh, I think that's an excellent idea, don't you, Hasty?
Certainly no harm in it. He's very fond of you.
Oh, I used to think so.
But he is. Hasty and I have often thought that you and he would make a perfect couple. That's neither here nor there.
Very well, I'll pay him a visit. It shouldn't be too hard to find some excuse.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Coggeshall.
Good afternoon, Fool. Is Dr. Jekyll in?
I believe he's in the laboratory, madam.
I know he doesn't like to be disturbed, but would you tell him I'm here? I have one or two important matters to discuss with him.
Certainly, madam. Oh, Mr. Hyde, sir. Is Dr. Jekyll in the laboratory?
No, he's just gone out. Why?
Mrs. Coggeshall wanted a word with him.
May I be of any help, madam? My name is Edward Hyde.
Thank you, Mr. Hyde, but I can call another time.
I'm his assistant in the laboratory.
You must find it very interesting work.
Oh, indeed I do, madam. Utterly absorbing. Now, good day, madam. I hope we see each other again.
Good day. Tell me, Poole, that cane that Mr. Hyde was carrying, the one with the silver knob,
Yes, madam?
isn't that Dr. Jekyll's?
Yes, madam. But the doctor has made it very clear that Mr. Hyde is to have the run of the house.
How long have you been working for Dr. Jekyll, Poole?
Over 15 years, madam.
Until a few weeks ago, had you ever seen Mr. Hyde before?
No, madam, never. Have you, madam?
No, I haven't.
You wanted me, Mr. Paul?
Oh, yes, Janet. The doctor has informed me that he'll be out for the remainder of the evening, so I think it would be a good opportunity for you to put the laboratory to rights.
Very good, Mr. Paul.
Just a light dusting and sweeping the hearth, mind. Be careful not to tamper with any of the equipment.
No, Mr. Paul.
Very well, get along.
Yes, Mr. Paul.
Did you know that a cobra is a large and very poisonous snake? Did you know that a cobra can hypnotize an animal 10 times its own size just by staring at it, like I'm staring at you now, and then devour it?
I didn't think nobody was in here.
Do you have dreams, Janet? It is Janet, is it not, Dr. Jekyll's pretty little housemaid?
Yes, sir.
And you know who I am, do you not?
Yes, sir.
Who am I?
Mr. Hyde, sir.
Mr. Edward Hyde.
Yes, sir.
Well, say it, girl.
Mr. Edward Hyde, sir.
So now again, Janet, do you have dreams?
I suppose so. Sometimes.
And of what do you dream? Strong young men, lying under hedgerows, wandering hands, endless kisses?
I don't know. Can I go now, please, sir?
You were looking at the bottles on those shelves, weren't you, Janet?
Yes, sir, but I didn't touch nothing.
Well, that seems a pity, because did you know that on those shelves there is a remedy for every ailment? There are potions there to cure heartaches, heartburn, simple influenza, the pain of broken bones and of broken hearts.
Can I go now, please?
Potions to make dreams become reality. Take this one, for instance. Now, you do read, do you not?
No, sir, I can't.
Well, I'll show you. D-R-E-A-M-S. Dreams. Now, we shall each take 3 of these...
Sir, please!
Janet, when you were disobedient, have you ever had your dress and your petticoats pulled up and been beaten until you screamed, have you?
When I was little.
Well, we do not want that, do we? So we shall both take these tablets, shall we not? And find a sweet and a beautiful paradise. Now, very soon the drudgery of the day will be forgotten. All that waking up at 5:30 of a foggy morning. Trudging from the top of the house to the scullery, toting coal scuttles to every room, blacking grates, lighting fires, all forgotten when you dream. You are a princess. You ride in a golden carriage and you wear pearls and diamonds in your hair. And crowds, all of the onlookers, they cheer as you pass. And you give them a radiant smile. You wave at them with a white-gloved hand. A wave? And nothing, nobody, not even God himself, can interfere with your dreams.
I don't know.
Here. Very soon, a strong young man arrives. And desire floods over you like the falls of Niagara. And all your doubts, all your fears are dissolving.
It's your eyes. I know who they belong to.
Well, you can conjure up any fantasy that your innocent heart desires.
I only fuss because we're all so worried about
There's
you.
no need. There is no need.
Are you being looked after properly?
I've always looked after myself.
But locking yourself away in your laboratory night after night, even with an assistant to help you.
Yes, I believe you met Mr. Hyde.
Very briefly.
And what did you think of him?
He seemed quite polite.
Good looking? Did you think?
Yes, I suppose so. Quite good looking.
I attract you, eh?
Oh, for heaven's sake, Henry! What is it that Hyde has to do with this? Look, I know there is something wrong. You don't look at me anymore, or kiss my hand, or pay me the smallest compliments. Please tell me.
Perhaps one day, Anne. At the moment, I think it would be better if you went home.
Of course, but please, if there is anything I can do to help, will you let...
It's 7:30, Dr. Jekyll.
You done plenty, my girl. Making up stories, the like of what I never heard. I'll tell you.
There can be no doubt. Last night, I went to bed as Henry Jekyll, and this morning I awoke as Edward Hyde. No draught was taken, no explanation, except is the balance of my nature overthrown? Am I losing hold of my better self, sacrificed to the evil side?
You're trying to put something over on us.
No, it's because true. He gave me something to drink.
What exactly is going on?
I beg your pardon, sir. I've no idea you were already at work.
Oh, yes, beg pardon, sir.
It is a rather urgent domestic matter, sir.
It's Janet here, sir.
I have dismissed her from your employ, sir.
Janet, go inside the house, please, and wait until you're called.
Yes, sir.
Well, what seems to be the trouble? Cook.
Well, sir, Janet says that she was, well, interfered with.
I see. Well, go on.
On account of you being out the other day, sir, I took the opportunity of instructing her to put your laboratory to rights.
And?
She said that Mr. Hyde was in there and, well, gave her some pills to take that made her feel, well, then...
Cook and I taxed her for details, but she says she can't recall very much.
I said to her, that's blackmail, my girl, but she said no, it wasn't.
Since she could give no satisfactory account of herself, I told her that she should go upstairs and pack her grip, and that she would be given 2 weeks' wages.
But she wouldn't get no references.
I see. However, do you not think that under the circumstances you might have been a trifle harsh with the girl?
She's no better than she should be, sir.
How many of us are, Cook?
What? I mean, is it likely that a friend of yours would do a thing like that, sir?
Might I suggest that you have a word with the girl yourself, sir?
No, I have no wish to disturb the domestic arrangements. But if you want my opinion, I think we should give the girl another chance. That is, if she wishes to stay.
Just as you say, sir, of course.
And that's what I do say. In the meantime, I will have a word with Mr. Hyde and talk to him about the girl's story.
Very good, sir.
Thank you, Poole. You were quite right to come and tell me.
Thank you very much, sir.
If you ask me, sir, you're a sight too soft-hearted.
Thank you very much, Cook.
And your breakfast is served, sir.
I shall be up directly, Poole, thank you. So, now I have to choose. Edward Hyde in a life of sensual delight, yet ending up friendless and despised. Or follow the path of righteousness set down by my father. Well, in memory of him, I shall choose my better self. Dedicating myself to good works and the healing of the sick, Edward Hyde may abandon me once and for all. Amen. There we are then, old lad. Now you drink that up, eh? And you'll be as right as rain. Ah, you don't fancy it, eh? Well, I can't say I blame you.
Now you drink it up, lovey, like the doctor said.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll take a little sip first, eh? Just to see how it tastes. Okay. Well, that's not too bad at all. That's not too bad at all. Come on, you try.
Come on, lovey.
Yeah, that's not so bad, is it? Eh? There's a good lad. Okay, well, you take him home to bed. He'll be restless for a couple of nights, and then the fever will break and he'll perspire.
He'll what, sir?
Well, he'll sweat it out, but don't worry. Just let him stay in bed for another 24 hours. Keep him on a light diet.
Thank you, sir.
Here we are then, old lad.
Oh, sir, about...
Oh, no. It's a Saturday. We never accept money on a Saturday. Good night, old lad.
By the way, Henry, whatever became of, that man that you were so worried about, Oliver?
Mr. Hyde.
Oh, Hyde. He left rather unexpectedly. We shan't hear of him again.
Well, my dears, I think it's time we set out for this evening's little excursion.
Oh, you know, Anne, sometimes I'd be prepared to take your word for the condition of these places. Get to my bed at the usual hour.
No. We must all see for ourselves. There'll be no hope of gaining reform on mere hearsay. We need eyewitness reports from important people like yourselves.
And where's our destination tonight?
First, I thought we could visit a night house, which is comparatively reputable, but they're going down to Whitechapel, which is definitely not. It's unbelievable.
Which particular night house did you have in mind?
The Argyle, I thought. I struck up an acquaintanceship with the owner. Are you feeling good-natured?
Yes, my dear, I think that you could call me that. Come along, Henry, don't drag your heels.
Good evening, Mrs. Coggeshall, and a very good evening to you, gentlemen.
Good evening, Mrs. Winterton.
I see you have your committee in tow.
That's right. May I introduce Mr. Utterson?
No monikers, if you don't mind. Rule number 1 here, no monikers. But we're very pleased to see you. Ain't we, girls?
Very pleased, Mrs. Winterton.
Look around you, Mrs. Coggeshall. Only champagne, Moselle, or cherry cobblers served here. And I don't allow no Lushingtons nor troublemakers neither. Nor Cooper harlots. Cheer up! Bring us 4 glasses. This is no slap bang or suck crib, I can assure you.
No, of course not.
It is a respectable place of rendezvous. Reputable. So when you talk to the reformers, you just tell them that Kate Winterton does nothing but what caters to the natural appetite. I enjoy sitting here, like our dear Queen, God bless her, watching by London perambulate. Nobody does nothing, nobody don't want to do. Would you gentlemen care to see the upstairs?
Oh, that's very kind of you, Mrs. Winterton, but I don't think we have the time. We have another port of call to make this evening.
I'm very pleased to hear it, dear. Get out and see the real Kennetzino streets. Filth and misery in the Devil's Acre. Take a gander at the rookeries around St. Giles. The crimps and muchers and the glimmed A-bags what uses a wall to do their trade up against. Begging your pardon, dear. Do you know that many of my girls here tonight are pretty horse-breakers and ride in Rotten Row of a Sunday and can't be told from the real Ortimondi? What's more, most of them are sailing on their own bottoms. No pimps or ponces, no brothels, but a cosy little villa in St. John's Wood.
John's Wood? Hear me, just fancying.
Well, you see, dear, the carriage ride is just the beginning of the fun. Ain't that so, girls?
Yes, Mrs. Winterton.
Darlings, ain't they?
Yes, well, thank you, Mrs. Winterton.
And you must be congratulated on being so frank.
Oh, I'll be frank, Grandpa, or anybody else for a bit of fun. Evo, me heart is. A little matter of 12 diners for the bubbly. Nothing comes free at the Argyle. Ta, lovey. And watch your fogels, gents, going up the alley.
Try a change of luck, dearie.
It's all connected, don't you see? It's all connected.
Ah, the stench.
Colour the country.
Surely you said that all this was going to be demolished.
Make way for a new road, not for new houses.
For the first time in my life, I find it difficult to believe that these 2 feet of mine are planted on British soil.
Morning, Mrs. Coggeshall.
Good morning, Paul. Am I going to be lucky today?
I'm afraid not, madam.
Oh.
The doctor still insists that he is not to be disturbed when he is in his laboratory.
But I understood that...
Yes, madam. And there is another matter which I think you should be acquainted with.
Oh, Mrs. Coggeshall, what a pleasant surprise.
But I thought that...
That I'd abandoned my old friend Jekyll?
No, that he'd abandoned those particular experiments.
Well, he had, but the temptation was too great for him, so he has gone back to them. And he cannot do without me. Good day. Come in, come in.
The ladies, sir.
Mrs. Coggeshall, how very pleasant to see you again.
I'm glad you agreed to my coming.
Well, it would have been boorish of me to refuse a request from such a charming woman. Mrs. Willoughby, we do not wish to be disturbed.
Oh, that goes without saying, sir.
Yes, it does. Of course it does. May I take your wrap?
Thank you.
Please be seated, Mrs. Coggeshall.
Mr. Hyde, I've come to ask you a question.
Well, I'm quite sure that I can answer it equally well if you are seated, my dear.
Very well. Now that you're working again with Dr. Jekyll, might I ask if it is still part of the same experiment?
Yes, the duality of man. Totally fascinating.
Can you tell me what that means exactly?
Whether or not it is possible to isolate the evil in man from the good. A glass of Madeira, Mrs. Coggeshall?
Thank you, no. I seldom drink.
Yes, I have heard that you're a woman of strict principles, but since we are both some distance from Henry Jekyll, I thought that we might relax our guards for a few moments.
I'm not quite sure I understand you, Mr. Hyde.
Oh, I'm quite sure you do, Mrs. Coggeshall. However much one may admire Henry or even love him, there is no denying that he is inclined to pomposity.
I didn't come
or
here...
even frigidity.
You're being insulting.
No, I'm merely pointing out that he and I are very different people. I believe that man was given senses to be used and enjoyed. He believes in original sin and in mortifying the flesh.
He is a good man.
Oh, indeed. Indeed. But what do you feel when he comes into a room? When he is near you? Or when he kisses your hands?
Mr. Hyde, I came here to ask you questions, not to answer yours.
Yes, yes, of course. At your request. I was just hoping that our meeting might take place in a more relaxed atmosphere.
I'd hoped so, too.
A glass of Madeira, then?
Yes, please. A small glass.
Madeira glasses are small.
Mr. Hyde, do you know that Dr. Jekyll and I are engaged to be married?
Yes, I believe he did say something of the sort.
Why should these experiments that we speak of keep him so preoccupied that he can find no time to see me?
Well, when a man's mind is firmly fixed on one thing, Mrs. Coggeshall, you know how it is.
Thank you. What can one do to help?
Well, since you're engaged to be married, it hardly seems proper of me to make a suggestion.
It strikes me that you're not very interested in the proprieties, Mr. Hyde.
Not very, no. How do you find the Madeira?
Very pleasant. The duality of man.
And of woman, possibly?
Is Dr. Jekyll working on that too, the duality of woman?
No, Mrs. Coggeshall. I am.
God rest ye merry gentlemen, let nothing you dismay. Remember Christ our Saviour was born on Christmas Day to save us all from Satan's wrath and
you know that many of my girls here tonight are pretty horse-breakers and ride in Rotten Row of a Sunday and can't be told from the real Ortimonde?
Evening, sir. You feeling good-natured? The money, please, Governor.
Money, you snivelling little bum boy. Get
No, Governor. Fair's fair, Governor.
You there! Stop that! What the devil do you think you're doing?
Mind your own business.
You deliberately kicked the lad when he was on the ground.
It was an accident.
Accident be damned. It was a deliberate piece of brutality.
Get out of my way.
Not until you have given me your name and address.
I certainly shall do nothing of the sort.
I happen to be a magistrate.
Yes, and I happen to be an extremely
area.
short-tempered man.
Hey, come on, yes, come on, Captain, wait. Come on.
It's Sir Danvers Caruso. I recognized it.
Yes, Inspector.
And you say you recognized the assailant?
Speak up, girl.
It's Mr. Hyde, sir.
Mr. Hyde is Dr. Jekyll's assistant.
Does he live in the house?
No, Inspector, but sometimes he stays overnight in the spare room.
Is Dr. Jekyll at home?
No, Inspector. I believe he's out attending a committee meeting of some nature.
Would that be half of Mr. Hyde's stick?
No, it is Dr. Jekyll's. I gave it to him myself.
Filched by Mr. Hyde, no doubt.
Oh, find religious decent folk in virtues flaunting gold and scarlet. I sneer between two puffs of smoke. Give me the male and female harlot. sins are too great for me to bear. Please help me to walk again in thy ways.
Thank you, sir.
Gazette! Read all about it! Read all about it! Right to guard and murdered! Evening Gazette!
Good morning, Ford.
Good morning, Mrs. Coggeshall.
I believe the doctor wanted to see me.
Yes, madam. He said, would you go straight round to the laboratory?
Isn't that rather unusual?
Yes, madam. This way, please.
Come in.
Mrs. Coggeshall, sir.
Anne, how very kind of you to come.
You've heard the news, of course.
Yes, there are several things that we have to discuss.
First, Henry, there's a question I'd like to ask you. You're not hiding that man, are you?
God, no. I promise you that we shall never hear from him again.
You said that once before, on the evening we became engaged.
Yes, but this time I am certain.
Oh, my dear one. You look so ill and worried. Are you sure there is nothing I can do to help?
And it was like waking out of a nightmare. But it was so real that it burnt into my mind. But there is one thing that I think would help.
Yes?
I think we should fix the date for our wedding.
Oh, yes, Henry, yes, of course, whenever you say.
Well, today is December the 20th. What would you say to the same day next month?
The motion is proposed, seconded, and carried.
In the meantime, I will concentrate on regaining my strength and working as hard as I can for the Coggeshall Trust.
First, perhaps you should go away. Take things easy. Why not, over Christmas?
Where would you suggest?
We could go to the lakes or to the sea.
We?
Oh, Henry, we're both mature people. We love one another. Why should we care what other people might say?
As Dr. and Mrs. Jekyll.
Oh, why not if we have to?
And people in our position must observe the proprieties,
Proprieties?
I realize why you're doing this. You're doing it for my well-being, for my sake, but I cannot allow you to sacrifice yourself for me in this manner.
My good name.
Precisely.
Yes, Henry, of course you're right. Silly of me.
Thank you, Anne.
Goodbye.
Take therefore no thought for the morrow, for the morrow shall take thought for the things of itself. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. Something the matter, Janet?
Yes, sir. I think...
What is it? Out with it, girl.
You know it was. Mr. Paul Cook told you.
What is it that you want me to do?
I wanted to make sure, sir.
You see?
I wouldn't put myself in nobody else's hands, sir.
Well, that's very kind of you, Janet, but there are certain ethics in my profession that have to be observed.
Sir?
Well, it's not considered correct practice for a doctor to examine someone in his employ.
I've been working for you for 3 years, sir.
Well, yes, I understand that, Janet.
When our whooping cough, you examined me,
Well, it's
sir.
hardly the same thing, Janet.
I needed help
I'm sorry,
just as...
Janet. You will ask Mr. Poole to provide you with the name of another doctor, and he will attend you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. It was you, Mr. Hyde, what done it!
Dear God, let this be an end. Let me die. Well, my usual rounds then, Poole. The East End Hospital at noon.
And I believe you have a meeting with Mrs. Coggeshall and the Trust at 3:30 at Mr. Lannion's.
That's correct, but I'm hardly likely to forget that now, am I?
If I may say so, sir, the staff have hardly had the opportunity of wishing you all happiness, what with one thing and the other.
I'm so sorry, Poole. That's very remiss of me. Of course, you and the staff are all invited to the wedding. Mrs. Coggeshall insisted on it.
That is most gratifying, sir. Oh, and I have arranged for Mrs. Coggeshall to have her personal effects moved in here the day before, sir.
Thank you very much, Poole. You think of everything. Harris? Thank you, Harris. I'll walk from here.
It's not like Henry to be late.
There's always so much for him to do at the hospital, and you know how conscientious he is.
Well, I vote we start without him.
Certainly.
Fine. Well, the first item on the agenda is my visit to the Home Secretary last week.
Charlie, it's him all right. It's Hyde. He lives up here. Edward Hyde, come down.
Watch it!
What's that doing? Edward Hyde.
Stop!
Right. Hyde. The building is surrounded. You cannot escape. he is. He's mad. It's deep, that stuff. Hyde! Hyde!
Around the other side.
Right.
If you truly love me, for God's sake, do as I ask. Poole has his orders. He will have a drawer from my laboratory ready for you to take to Lanyon's house. Tell Lanyon to send all the servants to bed. And tell him that shortly after midnight, a man will present himself in my name, and that he should put the contents of the drawer into his hands. Then you must leave at once, and you will have earned my love and gratitude forever. Henry.
So you forget that I've not yet had the pleasure of your acquaintance.
No, forgive me, Mr. Lanyon. My impatience has shown heels to my politeness. Yes, I do come at the instance of your colleague, Dr. Jekyll. I was given to understand a drawer.
Well, it's on the table. Beneath the napkin. You're far from well, sir. Far from well.
Mr. Lanyon, I give you a choice.
Between what and what?
Well, either I can leave your house, in which case you will be left as before, neither richer nor wiser.
Alternative?
Is to allow me to inject this potion here and now, in which event you will witness a prodigy to stagger the disbelief of Satan.
Well, I'm a rational man, sir, so you go ahead.
Ah, yes, that's the greed of curiosity, eh?
If you like, yeah.
Very well, Hasty.
Who are you?
You not know me, Hasty? My name is Edward Hyde.
Hyde, my God, the police!
Jesus Christ, our mediator and redeemer. Amen. The grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, and the love of God, and the fellowship of the Holy Ghost be with us all, evermore. Amen.
I suppose we shall never know what happened, eh?
No, I suppose not.
Although I could have sworn it was your signature in those notes to Mrs. Coggeshall and Poole.
Forgeries. No doubt.
But why, Henry, eh? Why?
Well, I have no idea, Oliver. But I am not Inspector Newcomb.
Concerning your new will, Henry, I've retained the previous bequest to your servants.
Quite so.
And of course the residue of your estate to Anne. Would you like to come along with me now and sign it? I can offer you a glass of claret.
You not think it would be more appropriate to wait until after Anne and I are safely married, Oliver?
Safely, Henry. Only a few more days.
Nevertheless.
Just as you say, of course.
Morning, Poole.
Good morning, sir.
Well, a man could not wish for a finer wedding day, eh?
No, indeed, sir. Your gardenia, sir.
Thank you, Poole. You all set for the great occasion?
Yes, sir. Except...
Well, yes, Poole?
It doesn't seem right on our wedding day, sir, but I have to tell you that...
Well, come on, Poole, out with it.
It's the housemaid. Janet, sir.
Oh, yes, I know. I told her that I'd suggested that you found her a doctor.
She's dead, sir.
Oh, no, she can't be.
She threw herself out of her window while you were out last night.
No, she must have fallen.
The body was removed, sir.
Well, why wasn't I told?
You were back very late, sir. And what with today coming up, I didn't know what to do, but Inspector Newcomen said this morning that it had to be broken to you.
Yes, of course.
She left a sort of note, sir.
Oh, may I see it?
The inspector took it.
Well, what did it say?
She could scarcely read or write, but it was just a scribble on one of her curling papers. Just one word.
Well, what was it, Poole?
It looked like nobody, sir.
Nobody cares. January the 20th. I now see that at any hour of the day or night, the raging passions of Hyde will take control. And I am left with nothing but the horror of my other self.
Oh dear. It's 2 o'clock in the morning.
What am I supposed to do about it?
We're all very understanding, Mrs. Coggeshall.
What do you understand? No word, no note, no explanation. Except that I am still Mrs. Coggeshall and not Mrs. Hyde.
Oh, Mrs. Hyde.
Oh, I mean Mrs. Jekyll. Oh, God, I'm so tired I don't know what I'm saying anymore.
Excuse me, madam. Might I suggest that when the inspector has completed his investigation, that you go up to the spare room? Gwen has prepared it already. There's no more you can do tonight.
Yes, that seems to be good advice, madam.
Very well.
No sign of anyone but the servants in the house or the laboratory, Mrs. Coggeshall. My constable at the front of the house tells me his carriage was waiting for him for over an hour.
Yes, that's correct. When I arrived, as you know, I was to be best man. Nobody could find him.
Yet, nobody's left the house. Well, I'm afraid there's nothing more we can do for the moment.
Thank you, Inspector. Good night. Oh, Paul, could you, give the Inspector and Mr. Utterson some refreshment before they go?
Yes, madam. And for you, madam? You haven't eaten anything this evening. Cook has gone to bed, but I could make you a chicken sandwich and bring it up to your room.
Thank you, Paul. I don't feel very hungry.
Very good, madam.
Perhaps, though,
Yes, madam?
perhaps a small glass of Madeira.
I can think of nothing more pleasant at the end of the day than to find oneself closeted with a beautiful woman.
Where is Dr. Jekyll?
Am I my brother's keeper? Disappeared, I would think.
But why?
And one can only assume that he's changed his mind.
About what?
Marrying you.
I don't believe it.
I think you do.
Get away from that door.
Why don't you scream? The whole house would hear you.
You're wanted by the police.
Nobody else? Oh, my dear.
How dare you!
My dear Anne. What a sad waste of a wedding night.
How did you get here? The police are everywhere.
Well, my purpose in life is to release that wonderful, happy, shouting reality within us.
Satan. That's what you are.
Well, you may call it evil, but I call it God's gift.
Who are you? I know those eyes. Who are you?
I'm half man, Anne. The half man I think you would enjoy. The hedonist. The man who takes pleasure in the flesh and gives no thought for the devil.
I never thought that pleasures of the flesh were work of the devil.
No, I know that, but poor Henry Jekyll did not. So again, what a sad waste of a wedding night.
You will get caught. You realize that?
We shall see. Mind you, I never intended to kill that stupid old man. It's just that sometimes giving way to one's temper can bring great satisfaction.
The moment I set eyes on you, I knew that words weren't necessary.
The way you looked at me.
Second time, I came to see you.
Pretending to be worried about poor Henry. I knew.
a small glass of Madeira.
May I? We shall drink a loving cup to the two of us and absent friends.
It's Paul, madam. Is everything all right?
Yes, Paul, thank you.
I thought I heard voices.
Voices? No, you must be mistaken.
Very good, madam. Good night.
Good night, Paul. Edward, 6 o'clock. It's time you left me.
Mrs. Coggeshall, it's all right. I'm here. Mrs. Coggeshall, what is it? You constable, go and get your inspector quickly. What's going on? I don't know. Ben, come and attend to Mrs. Coggeshall. Quick, sound the lantern. Come along, take her up to the drawing room. And fetch her clothes in the spare room. Bradshaw, go and fetch the copper from the back. Yes, Mr. Wood.
Mrs. Coggeshall, if you know who the man was, name him. Was this man Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde?
It was both of them.
Henry! It's me, Oliver! Please open the door!
Sir, now listen to me, please. Your master is either seized with one of those maladies that both torture and deform the sufferer, or it is not your master. In either case, I'm now resolved to break down the door to his laboratory, and the inspector here agrees with me. Now come, Paul, we should need lamps. Hurry, man, hurry! Is it locked?
Yes! Henry! I demand to see you!
Oh, for God's sake,
That was not the doctor's voice.
Down with the door.
Stand aside.
Come on.
I will wait.
Again!
to my cost.
Edward, let me in! For God's sake, I can speak to you!
Sally Hyde.
Help me, Paul. Killed himself.
But Mr. Utterson, where is Dr. Jekyll?
I do not wish to die upon the gallows, so I shall find my own escape. And so I humbly ask for God's forgiveness, and for the forgiveness of all of those whom I have so cruelly wronged.
Thank you.